do anything with it. So Dave and I had a brief chat this morning or this afternoon. The way that we normally do presentations, he says, let's keep everybody online today and have a general discussion around social media. And thank you so much for all making time at 7:30 at night to be here. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think let's see what you have to say. The idea behind the talk is I have a phobia around social media personally, and everybody knows how important it is and everybody knows how much you can get out of it. But I just sit there and when I scroll through social media, I often say, well, who really wants to know about me and why I post shit on my pages? And I follow Dave quite a lot on Instagram, actually, and he does a great job there. So I just want to know what about social media, how to actually have the courage to go and do it, and what are people looking for, and what is the purpose? And I mean, we do know that this is where the world is going. So thank you so much for sharing your ideas with us.
No, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I really do appreciate it. Let me just give you a little bit of a background. So I've been running various businesses for about 20 odd years now. Everything from medical supplies to video rentals to eventing. And I was always seemed to find myself on the sales and marketing side of the business. So I was either in front of clients or behind the marketing and driving the marketing for years. And then I just decided, like, I think I can do it better. I had a lot of frustrations with a lot of companies that I dealt with, and I figured, let me try. And around 2016, I met back up with Stephen, who has been running an agency since 2007, 2008. And I mean, he was doing SEO before Google really understood what SEO was. So it was wonderful to get in touch with him to start this agency. And what we decided to start with was like to try and answer the original question was, how do we align sales and marketing to provide extra income for your business, to drive revenue? And we're busy working that out. But as we're working that out, we realized where the main focus was at the moment is actually driving organic leads. So i.e. getting leads to people to build their businesses. And one of the most effective ways of doing that is by building your brand online. And then we went into mainly into the social media aspects of building your brand. So essentially the idea was, we can get your social media right, then it'll help with everything around your website and your brand. And so we started the company about 2 and a bit years ago. At the moment, we're in Midrand. We have 17 staff members, all in-house, and we offer everything from SEO down to social media. That's not what we're here for, but I just thought to give you a bit of a background of where we've come from. And I mean, Steve's an incredibly technical guy. He understands this world very much, and I'm learning daily. But one of the things that I always really believed was, build your brand, build your name. That will essentially help with everything. And I mean, we said today, I mean, Nike doesn't need to tell you who Nike is when they launch a new shoe, or Coke, or Apple doesn't need to tell you who Apple is when they launch a new phone. They just tell you about the phone. That just shows the power of their branding behind that. So I got quite excited about the prospect of speaking about this. And I started thinking, where do I start from? So I looked back in our history as human beings, and I looked at where the whole idea behind marketing actually started from. And I think when we start then, we'll kind of come back obviously to today, and then I'll show you how it's actually part of your DNA and who you are as a human being, as an entrepreneur. Those are entrepreneurs, to actually go out and market yourself. Is, when we lived in the villages many moons ago, the places that we basically went to talk to was at the market. So you'd arrive there on a Monday or a Thursday, generally on those days, and there would be thousands or hundreds of people around you at those days, and people were selling everything from tomatoes to Christianity, from Judaism to bananas to your rice, to everything. And essentially how they would do it is they would get the biggest soapbox and stand on the biggest soapbox and shout the loudest. And you can imagine the scene. You're walking up and down, you've got a list from your wife, or I get a list from my wife. Please don't forget, and you're walking around and you're hearing guys screaming, and then you go and you find it. And that's essentially how marketing started. And the idea was to get everyone together in a marketplace and then be the loudest guy in the marketplace. So, we've always done it. We've just had different tools in those days. Then I also looked at from an anthropological standpoint, because essentially how we used to live in these small little communes of maximum like 150 people, and there were all these villages all around where we used to live, and we were very social. So we slept in our houses, and we might have maybe eaten in our house, but we essentially always wanted to be out and always wanted to be with people. And there's like in all the different scriptures, there's of big meals having together and big times that everyone got together. And, I think our innate need inside of us is to be social. So we've got this innate need inside of us, first of all, to go out there and tell everyone what we do and how we want to make a living. And secondly, we want to be social. And the guys, much smarter than myself, put this together and created the social media platforms that we know today. And and in my opinion, it hits every single need of a human being. People want to be social. So yeah, Jace, I 100% get you. People are often like scared to go out there, but essentially you want to. There's something inside of you saying you want to. And it might have even been like you looked at my things and said, I want to do that as well. Like, how do I get to do it? I believe it really goes deep into who we are as human beings that actually wants us to be out there and together. And I mean, whether it's at a big soccer game where I come back from 3-0 down to 4-3 to win, or whether you're at a barbecue with your friend or braai with your friends, everybody wants to get together. And generally when you're around there, the first conversation with anyone new is, hey, how are you doing? What do you do? It's just what we do. And we know some people make fun of it and go like, oh, why are we so, why don't you find out like who you are as a person rather than what you do? But it's interesting. What you do is often connected to with who you are as a person. So that's where I believe we've come from in order to want to market. So the other thing that we started noticing, Steve and I, is we would go into businesses and speak to them about their sales, and we started talking to them about their marketing, and we started finding out about who they were and all of that. And what we actually then realized, the driving factor behind any successful sales and marketing is, Jace, what do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think that the starting point behind your sales and marketing?
It's who you are.
Aha, exactly. So we started realizing there's a very strong correlation between what you're saying out there and actually who you are and what your value is, and where your values scream louder. And one of the things we started noticing, and one of the things we start doing now with clients is, and then sometimes they're like shocked and they talk back, but I go, like, who are you as a person? Like, well, why do you want to do this business? What is the value system? And often people say, I don't know. So what we say is like, well, first of all, what really irritates you? So something like if high arrogance or highly arrogant people really upset you, then your value system is humility. Or if and also we say to people, like, your value system might be like, I want to make money, I don't care who I have to break down to get it. And we say from a marketing point of view, that's okay, but know that about yourself. And then don't go and try hire people who are trying to save the rainforest and the trees and everything, because your value systems aren't going to be right. But more importantly than that, what are you saying online? So if your values, like, use your value systems to guide you to your messaging, because ultimately that is what we believe is the most important place to start. Is like, what are you actually saying? And are you being authentic about it? Like, are you being true to yourself, to your business? Are you able to do something that that is really going to motivate you, the people you work for, and your clients? So one of the things that we started saying, and we say it a lot, and it's in all of our branding, and it's in all of our conversations at the office, is we want to do great things with great people. And you know, we've actually we're so strong. We believe that so strongly that, you know, we've even fired ourselves from customers when we just realized we just physically can't get these guys right, and we can't be great, and we're just doing average good work for these people. We say to the client, I'm sorry, let's find you someone who can do a better job. And that message, that value system is very important, not only to me and to us, but also to how we direct our messaging online. So one of the things that we look for very closely, one of the things we suggest to people to look for very closely is, what is your driving message? What is your value system? And how are you going to translate that into a marketing message that is not only catchy and enjoyable for people, because you are trying to attract people to your business, but also very authentic and very real, and being able to push your business and people with you forward. So that's why I believe, like, you know, the confidence aspect comes down to very much like who we are as human beings, what we actually want to do with our lives, and how we're driving that message online. And we're very, very thankful. You know, my wife's grandfather ran a nice big business when he was in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. And there's this iconic photo of him sitting at his desk in Joburg town. He had a piece of exam pad on his desk with a pen, and he had two black dial phones on his desk. And he built that business like that. And there's a story he tells that he wanted to go and get a supplier, and the supplier was in America. So he waited for the next ship, spent a month on the ship, spent a month there and a month home, just to do one deal. It always baffles my mind. It's incredible, because and he did it, and they did it, and they did it, and that's how they did their lives. But we picked up a client in London. We got an email. I don't think we've even spoken to him. I think we got an email saying, "Do you guys do this?" We said yes. They said, "Please do it." We did it. They paid us. All within probably 2 weeks. The scale, the ability of doing business in a quick way. And I'm not telling you all this. I'm enjoying the experience with you. That it's amazing. So the idea is things move fast, and things move at a pace which we are very grateful to be able to do in today's age. And the quickest way, we believe, is through social media. What we've noticed, I'll give you a quick example. Sorry, before I give you a quick example. So the idea is this as well, is what is out there, where to start? How would you start? What's the first step? So invariably, everyone here has either a Facebook account, a Google account, or for us a little bit, we've got maybe a Twitter account, if you still have Twitter accounts, Instagram accounts. If you have a Google Plus account, I don't think we should be chatting, but essentially you've got some form online. You use it basically every day, and the idea is using your distinct message. Start posting. So I mean, when I first started in this business, I said to Steve, so how many times do we post a month for the client? And he started laughing at me. He's 4 or 5 times a week. I'm like, what do you mean? Every single day? We've got every single day. I thought you put a post here and a post there. But the more you do, the more you're out there, it will feel uncomfortable at first, Jace. It does feel a little silly, and you don't think people are interested. But you know what? If you're speaking, so at the moment I think I've got maybe 400 or 500 followers, and I think I get maybe 40 likes a post. Now those 40 people will listen to me, and I'm okay with that for now. And I'd like to let it grow. I'm happy with letting it grow, but I'm not there. I don't think that I'm ever going to speak to. Maybe I will one day, 1 million people, 5 million people, and I'm okay with that. I find my niche, I find the people who I want to follow, and essentially very, very comfortable with those people. And the idea now is to go and look for more of those people. So once you understand, so the first thing is, it's innately part of us. Second thing is, once you understand your messaging, it becomes a hell of a lot easier because you get confidence. It's an easy confidence boost. If you know that your message is authentic, great things with great people, like, you know, if I can be great, if I can find great people, if I can do business with great people, that's my message. I'm very confident with that. And then thirdly is deciding which platform to start with, which you've got, as I said, like, we've got a smorgasbord of variety in today's day and age. We're really lucky. I mean, it's incredible. I get excited every single day. And then lastly, sorry, I lost my train of thought there, but like, essentially to the tactic that you'll use, i.e., what we say is you're posting every single day. You want to post once a week. You want to post 5 times a day. But all different ways of doing it. One of the funnest tactics we ever did was when we moved offices, we posted on stories, Instagram stories, the whole move. And I didn't think it was doing much. I really didn't think it was doing much. But the amount of people that I spoke to in real life said to me, "Oh, how's in your office?" I'm like, "Yeah, I haven't spoken to you in 5 years, but you know that I've moved offices." And I know, I think it's those little things that are really exciting. I bet you Jason can tell you how many kids I've got and if I've got a dog at home or not. You know, and I've never ever had any of those conversations with him personally. But you know, what people picking up is more than you think. You know, cutting through that noise is easier than we think in today's day and age. And some people you won't know. Some people you will have no idea about, which is also okay because you don't need to have that opinion of them. So, you know, confidently speaking, you don't have to worry about speaking to everyone just yet. You find what's important to you. You find who finds that important, and then you just start building on that. And you know, it's so easy. I mean, Facebook, here's a little bit of free marketing. Is Facebook, what they do is they've got something called a lookalike. So every time, so we find a group of people that is the right people, and then we just go and look alike, find everyone who looks alike it, and we can find to 100%. We can choose 50% of that, choose 1% of those people, and it's amazing. Because one of the other things that I found really truly amazing is, you know, if you look at like myself and Anil, we're probably different guys who live in different parts of Joburg. You know, he's got a lot more experience than I have. I can see he's done a lot. We might be very different guys, but digitally we might be very similar. I.e., he might like BMW, I might like BMW. He might love Liverpool, I might love Liverpool. So what happens is we find we've got a digital profile that actually is quite identical. And then we say, well, maybe if Anil and David both like BMWs, then let's serve an ad about BMW to them both, and we find an ad, and that's essentially how Facebook works. It's just using everything. It's using anthropologically, historically. It's using every single piece of what we innately DNA already know to just build each other's businesses and build your business and build my business, and it's truly wonderful. So that's my story. Are there any questions at this point?
I don't have questions, but I think for me, one of the biggest... Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yep.
I think for me, what's one of the most... we call it an aha moment. One of the things that's actually just landed was it's all about authenticity. Just being authentic, be yourself, and not actually try and market yourself. Just take pictures and do what interests you, because that does come through. And I've seen that. I mean, you just listening to you, I know that we actually have never had business discussions or anything like that, but you can see there's a lot of energy and a lot of excitement and passion when you speak, and you can just see that coming through as well. I mean, you must go and follow Dave on Instagram. It's quite fun. Although he's frozen. Anyway.
Yeah. I was just wondering.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Neil?
Sorry. Yeah, I was wondering, Dave, you you said something to the extent about sort of posting as often as you can. And, I'm kind of new in the game and trying to break into the sales and marketing consulting work, essentially coming from a sales capability background. If you're targeting messages, firstly, how do you work out, what to message? Because the kind of thing I'm sort of toying with. If you look at a typical sales organization, a lot's been spoken about your pipeline, about lead development, and so on and so forth. And so, you could in one article cover almost the essentials of pipeline management. Or do you end up saying, well, this is what a pipeline looks like. So in my next post, we'll talk about how to develop leads, for instance. In my next post, we'll look at perhaps initiating contact with customers, messaging out in a specific way, and kind of build it up almost, in episodes, in a sort of a series. Is that typically, kind of methodology you would use, or would you just kind of pick stuff that you hear about people talking about and you have an opinion and you kind of put your opinion out there?
Sure. Okay. So, you covered about 6 different topics there. That's the beauty of the thing. So your thing was, how do I get started? Second of all, which platform do I use? Third of all, should I do a series, or do I keep a theme, or do I do random posts, or so you covered quite a lot there. First and foremost, you need what I believe is choose a platform, right? Which one is the most comfortable? So, like some people find sitting on Facebook, is the best place for them. I actually feel a little bit, Facebook is big now. Facebook is really big. It's big. It's sure. The amount of people there that are there and are watching is exceptional. Like, everyone has between 500 and 1,000 plus friends. So you think about the amount of people that are watching you. For me, it's a little bit overwhelming. So I'm very careful what I actually do post on Facebook. I sometimes post some very, very personal stuff onto Facebook, and I sometimes post very, very light-hearted things. But when it comes to my business, I post everything on Facebook. But I always start with Instagram, and then I push it on to Facebook. So you got to understand what it is. So let me just give you a quick breakdown of the top four platforms. Okay, you've got Facebook, which is like an amazing storytelling platform. So what it means is you can build that theme over a few days, few weeks. You can stick to a theme if you wish, like talking about sales and marketing specifically. So it's great for that. Instagram is very, very picture and video heavy. So if you have a story to tell,
Central Bank Governor can't help. Let's go to stop pics. Time Ultron.
Okay, sorry. So just in terms of, so where was I? Sorry. So like Facebook, if you want to use words, you use words there on Facebook. But if you want to use very picture heavy stuff, so like unbelievable for traveling, so I use it a lot when I'm traveling around. I get huge engagement from that. Lifestyle pictures, when I post about my family, I use a lot more Instagram than I do on Facebook. The third one which is becoming more and more powerful daily, is LinkedIn, which we haven't spoken much about now. So LinkedIn originally was just like almost up for a very, very B2B, very heavy B2B platform where you basically use it for recruiting or looking for jobs, all of that. But at the moment, well, not the moment now, what they're moving into is very, very powerful B2B. So something that we then would generally do with LinkedIn specifically is we would take a piece of content. Now, what we consider a piece of content is a blog, a story, a note, something about from your business. We would then we would first post it onto LinkedIn, and we would use that content to drive B2B business. So that it's becoming very powerful. I wouldn't be posting pictures of dogs and cats on LinkedIn as much these days. I think it'll become a little bit inappropriate. But when I say inappropriate, I'm saying you won't get any traction. Should I put it that way?
Yeah.
And then finally, which is still in the background there, but still a very good platform, is Twitter. So Twitter you would use for very quick stories and things like that. So I tell you when I use Twitter the most, unfortunately, is when my water's out and I want to find out what's actually going on with the water situation. I go onto Twitter and I find out who's actually complaining about that. But I mean, it's still there, and there's still a use for Twitter. Right. Those are your four main platforms. So Anil, did you want to just ask something on that?
No, thanks. That's been quite useful. There's obviously a plethora, and I think I've kind of learned that particularly if you're in a kind of a B2B environment, you almost automatically land on LinkedIn because it does seem to be the most appropriate platform. The thing that's always escaped me is, how do you start out and kind of generate continuity, in the messaging that you put out, which is essentially the second part of my sort of question. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So let me answer that one first. Yeah, consistency. People who come and go, drop off, invisible. You've got to be there. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, I find that very frustrating because they're like, Dave, we've been with you for 6 months. We've been with you for a year. Like how much more do we need to post? I even had a meeting today, and the guys were saying like, they're a rental business. Like we keep filling our properties. Like why do we need to continue with this? And I say like, you start becoming invisible, and So it is something like it's something you're going to commit. My point is that you're going to commit for the long term. You want to commit for the long term. I mean, like one of my first businesses was to buy. I was selling medical supplies, and I sold the business in 2013. I got a call last week for someone who's looking to buy a wheelchair. And I was like, where do you know? How did you get to me? And they're like, oh, we saw a post of yours. I'm like 6 years ago. They're like, oh, it must have been that long ago. And I was like, really? Is that long enough? So definitely, it's something for the long run. I think what's important is, I mean, we speak as business owners. We often speak about the term an elevator pitch. If you can tell me within a few seconds what you do for a business, I think that's half the battle won. But just to coming back to what you're saying about LinkedIn, and if Stephen's video was on, he'd be rolling his eyes at me because I strongly believe, I really believe that there's no such thing as B2B anymore or B2C. And this is where his eyes start rolling, is because I say it's all P2P. With the same guy, person to person. The same guy that's sitting there posting about his business on LinkedIn is posting about his dog on Instagram and talking about his holiday on Facebook. The same guy. The messaging's different, of course, but it's the same person. And as we were talking about earlier, the importance of the digital profile. Once you know your digital profile and you can start building that digital profile, it becomes a lot smaller and a lot easier to deal with. So, of course, you have to, as you say, be appropriate and know your different channels, know what's important to be posting on the different channels. But absolutely, I believe it's the same person that we go after every time.
So it's really about finding a way to sort of draw people in on the conversations and the blogs you might be having.
Authentically, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay,
I mean,
that makes sense.
no one sells bullshit more than someone online. And they
Oh
can
no,
find
absolutely.
it. Yeah, it's incredible. And every time, I mean, we posted this picture, which when we say we great things with great people, we posted a picture of a beautiful, beautiful lady in a bikini holding a surfboard, and the caption read, "Now that I've got your attention, do you need any marketing?" Something to that effect. The tirade of negative messaging that we got as a business was incredible. And when we reconvened the next day, and we were like we did not stick to our value system. That is something that we whether we like pretty girls or surfboards or not is irrelevant. It's not who we are, and therefore we must not post those lines of thinking ever again. And within 2 hours or so, I think and I've never got, let me tell you, I've never got engagement like that on a positive post, but negatively you'll be found out very, very quickly. So my point is, always just be true to who you are. And that's why I keep on coming back to this, and I will keep on coming back to this in every conversation that we ever have. It's like, what is that messaging that you're really trying to say? You know, you want to do sales and marketing, why? What's the importance? What's it going to make a difference to your business, to you as a person, to your clients? Like, are you really going to add value? Just quickly, just a side note on that is that, like, Stephen and I started a product, and I thought it was absolutely brilliant, but it wasn't adding value to any of our clients, and we canned it. And now, now our focus is really on driving organic leads. So, the authenticity keeps on coming back to us every time we divert from our original either plan, mission, or value system. Within minutes, social media minutes, should I say? We found out what's important, what's not.
Gee, thanks. That was very useful.
Dave, I want to also ask a quick question. You spoke about commitment. So once you committed, you got to actually make a commitment and stick to it and say, all right, I'm going to do this.
Right.
What does commitment actually mean?
Yeah, listen, first and foremost, it's, whenever we talk to people, we say, like, what are you willing to invest? I heard you talking about the markets earlier, like, how much are you willing to invest? Like, what is your investment? And we very seldomly say to a company, what's your budget? I mean, we talk budgets because people understand that, but essentially the idea is, like, what is your investment? And I say, I'm willing to put in 10,000 Rand. We say, cool, what is your investment? Like I just told you, like, no, what is your investment? We need you for a 3-hour workshop. We need you once a month at least. We need to get feedback every single time we post. We need to get a feedback loop to us. Are we doing right? Are we doing wrong? Like, yes, we will handle the day-to-day runnings of your business, but essentially, this is your business. You need to invest. Same as if you're investing in a staff member's training. Same as you're investing in an office, buying the best furniture. You're investing online. So let's just bring that back to yourself. Is that, like, how much am I willing to invest? Like, what am I, am I willing to give 30 minutes a day? Am I willing to give 30 minutes a year? I'm not saying you're right or wrong, but that's what you got to decide for yourself. And then again, like, if you want to see the distance, like, you've got to see this as a long-term play. We often say to guys, like, I always say to clients, I say, all right, we're going to sign you up. You're going to start on the 1st of June. If I get you a lead in June, it was complete luck. Well done to you, well done to us. But there was no real, like, we haven't really gotten started because it takes 3 months, 6 months, a year, not to get your first lead, but to really start building up on your social media, on your followers. I mean, I'm just looking at my followers now because I don't even know where I'm sitting on. I'm sitting on over 500 followers at the moment, which is pretty impressive for me personally. But I mean, I think I was sitting on maybe 150 followers for a long time, But slowly you're building up and getting. I mean, I posted 1,100 photos. Sorry, 500 posts to get 500 people. I'm following 1,100 people. I'm saying that's commitment. I spend a lot of time on it. Also, what I my staff often comment, like if there's a mistake, like I find it first, like I'm there. No, I find it, tell them, pull that post off, fix it up, put it back up. No, it's a commitment. You got to decide. And again, like, so I mean, like Jace, like your commitment is your commitment. Like no one can fault you and say you're doing right or wrong, but decide, like, what am I going to do? Am I going to do this, you know, and some companies do, some people do, they say, I'm going to do this for 6 months, you know, just for 6 months. Our strategy for the next 6 months is to get from 100 to 200 followers on Facebook. How I'm going to do that, let's decide. But that's what I'm going to do. Like, let me commit. Once I'm on 200, it took me a month, 6 months, great. What's the next commitment? You really don't have to start going, all right, I'm here for the next 5, 10 years. Because I don't know anyone who can speak of the next 5, 10 years. If you can, I'll be very impressed. You know, 2 years maximum. And, you know, 2 years ago, I was selling Vespers at Melrose Arch. Today, I'll be running pitch, you know. So in 2 years, you can do, your whole life can change. And yeah, sorry, that was just a little bit of a side note. But the idea is that you've got to choose your commitment level.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I've got a question. I mean, I'm not on social media other than Instagram, and that's purely because pictures are easy, and it really is just a personal preference. But years ago, I'd say 10 years ago, I was on Facebook, and the reason that I actually got off Facebook was because I find it very difficult to segregate the time from posting things that might be beneficial for me or my business, and getting caught up in all the nonsense that is posted. You know, I think it's natural for people to be inquisitive and want to see what's going on. And I just found that for me, it takes me into a downward spiral of nonsense, that I actually start physically feeling ill looking at the screen and you know, going from one person to the next person. And I genuinely feel ill and that's why I deleted it, because I found myself not actually getting the benefit. I was getting a lot of downside with social media. So how do you, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but how do you segregate that and from a business point of view, whether it be for your you know, a one-man show business or a corporate business, how do you manage that you're not getting bombarded with nonsense?
Brilliant point. Like that is the difficulty with Facebook. And I speak to a lot of people who tell me that they deleted their Facebook account. And my first reaction is like, wow. And then, you know, I get the idea of being offline and the appeal not to be able to pull you down that wormhole of just sitting there looking at vacation photos for whatever the reason. It almost comes back to the previous point about commitment and strategy. So what I do with people, and you know, we actually have like a couple. We've got a client actually who spends, you know, he hates it. When we first met him, he goes, guys, social media is not for me. I'm not on anything. I'm invisible. No one knows I exist. And then we see a photo being posted by him and going, why did you post that? He said, I'm just being caught up with from the business side of it on social media. And I was like, why? Like, I'm enjoying it. So there's a very, very close correlation. So the idea is through the commitment, also there's a strategy. All right. So like you'd have a very specific financial strategy. You'll have a very specific staff hiring strategy. You'd have a very specific social media strategy. And you keep to it. So if one feels that they aren't strong enough to be able to do it on their own, then I mean, there's definitely people who want to do it. And listen, we spend a lot of time. We spend a lot of time on social media, and sometimes I do get caught in that wormhole. But the idea is that you post when you need to post. But more importantly than that, the beauty of the social media is because you're able to follow the people you want to follow. So the idea would be, if you're in a business, I mean, sorry, I don't know your businesses, but no, I'll just take the medical company. Like, we follow the right people in the medical industry. We follow doctors, we follow new software, we follow people from overseas. And then my timeline is pretty much full with what I need to be looking at. Another big point is, I always say, have your personal account and your business account separate. So like Clinton, like I agree 100% with you. Keep your personal life off Facebook. But I believe strongly that if a business isn't on Facebook or on social media, pretty much like invisible. And I'm generalizing, yeah, but pretty much invisible. I mean, we speak to people who don't appreciate social media all the time, and that comment comes to us on a daily basis, like, I just can't, I hate it, I can't. I see my son doesn't get off it, my daughter loves it, you know. I don't want to do it. I think to them, like, yeah, personally stay off it, like, agreed. You know, it's not something for you. You know, you want to fill your time doing other things, read it. Like, I agree with that 100%. But you got to make sure your business is there, and in some form, or you have to have a digital presence on some place that is very important. And obviously, I mean, I'm not telling you this. I'm actually telling me this. Is it comes down to being very disciplined about it. You know, you know, my wife and I have a rule, like no Facebook in bed. You know, you know, keep Facebook out of the bedroom. But the idea is that, like, it's hard. I mean, it's great. It's lots of fun. I mean, yeah, you get onto. I sometimes find myself looking at videos and things and going like, how did I even get here? I was like, you had a post, you know, it does happen, and it comes down to that. But I mean, that should not be a reason why not to be on Facebook for your business. That should be a reason. That should be, you know, what I could say to you is like, you know, for some people, and we have this conversation also, is that why even go digitally? Why not just use yellow pages, the newspaper, billboards, maybe TV and radio? Like, why even go digitally? And we say to people like, yeah, there's definitely a place for it. But essentially, what's the first, like, if you think of just human behavior, what's the first thing people do when they see something is they either Google it or they Facebook it. You know, if generally, like what I've noticed as well, and I see it happening. So I mean, this is actually where Jace, Ian, and I met originally. We were sitting at a coffee shop, but the coffee shop culture is huge now. And I sit and I just listen to people often, and like they often say like, well, let me tell you this story. I was sitting and I heard these two young guys, maybe 15, 16-year-old boys talking. And the guy goes, I don't trust that oak for anything. And the other guy goes, why? So, have you seen his Instagram photos? He hasn't got many followers, and he hasn't even got a profile pic. And I was like, oh my God. Like, like, how am I, as a business owner, going to market to this guy? Like, as a consumer, he's like, okay, it's 4 or 5 years before he's a proper consumer in the market. But I want to sell him a car. Where am I going to go? Like, he's not going to give a damn about a billboard or anything. He's going to, you know, he wants to show that you've got credibility and how he's valuing. And I agree, it's one example. You can't take it as the standard. But his way of building your credibility was, you have a profile picture. If you have a good profile in your bio, in your about us, and if you've got a strong website. So, you know, it's becoming more and more. It's becoming more and more evident that what people are viewing as important, or you know, in terms of business, everything is really being boiled down to what your social profile is saying about you. And the other thing I always see people doing is like, they say, what was his name again? And then they go onto Facebook and they check him out and they see, oh, but there's 3 Jason Utahs. Which one are we talking about? You know, and I'm saying like, that's powerful. That's like, you know, that's the guy wants to know who you are. And, you know, most people aren't invisible now. If you can't find it there, then you just type into Google. I can find quite a lot of information about most people within the first 5 minutes of any search. Whether you put it there or you haven't put it there is kind of not irrelevant, but why not get on the front foot and be proactive about it and tell Facebook and Google what you actually want them to know about you and about the business. Because it'll come up. I think also I once Googled David Jackson. I became a cheesemaker. And I was like, you know, it wasn't me. It was another guy who lives in some place in America who sells cheese and makes cheese. I figured, like, I actually don't want that. I want, you know, when someone ever Googles David Jackson, I want to be everything you see on Google. And I'm not sure if I am. I haven't Googled myself in a long time. But that was what I was thinking. I want to be proactive about what when you Google me, what you actually seeing, and I think that's very, very important as well. So just to come back to thing, agreed with you, but not for business.
Sure.
Thanks, Dave. Is there any more questions? I mean, with Ian and Bianca, if there's anything else that you guys would like to discuss before? I mean, otherwise it's wine time.
Hi, I'm back.
Hi, welcome back.
I've been listening. Oh, sorry, I have a 3-year-old. He's quite demanding, so I was running around. I'm his slave at the moment. Anyway, so David, what is your Twitter handle? There are so many David Jacks on Twitter. I don't know which.
That's a fantastic question. I'm going to go into my Twitter and actually find out.
Because I would just like to follow your tweets to see the way that you structure your tweets. I remember I attended another webinar once where they discussed also something similar, because like I hate social media. I really hate that, and I kind of force myself to use it more. So I've started becoming more active on Twitter, and it seems to be really working for my network at least. And then I find myself making typos, but I always discover them after I posted my tweet already. But anyway, so this guy mentioned, I can't remember who said this, but the guy said that the way that he does his tweets is he puts in all the handles and hashtags first, and only then he adds the text in between. And usually I'm the other way around. I type my whole thing and then try to add all the handles at the end, and then it doesn't fit, then you have to modify your whole tweet. So that was kind of good advice, and I now try to apply that. But yeah, I would like to follow you on Twitter. Do you have a separate business account?
So my private one is David Jacks 1310, which is my birthday. The truth is that our business account is probably pitch_SM for sales and marketing. But I mean, again, like I think my last post on Twitter, I mean, if I look at myself, my last post. Oh no, so the beauty of of a very connected life world we live in is you can post on one platform and get it to post on other platforms. So I really only post on Instagram, and then it posts for me onto Facebook, and it posts for me onto Twitter, and I think even LinkedIn. So that's what I do. But what you're speaking about there is hashtags, and that comes also back to what Vincent was saying. Very important, like, you know, the beauty of hashtags is you can follow conversations, you can follow specifics, and if you want your timelines full up with what you're interested in, that's the place to start. So if something interests you, so I'm just going back to you, Anil. Like if you're looking for sales and marketing, you go and you look for those hashtags. There's a cool one, actually. I'll give you one. It's called Smarketing. SMARKETING. Marketing. It's building momentum, and a lot of people use it, mainly overseas. But yeah, so I'm saying hashtags are vitally important. Not so much for Facebook though. So it's interesting because it looks a bit weird on Facebook because they haven't really like joined the hashtag revolution as much as Instagram has. But it's great. Sorry, something that Steve just told me, which I think is very interesting, is that just back on you, Clint, that the importance of having multi-platforms and having different things is that you're saying that 44% of users between the ages of 18 and 29 have deleted Facebook off their phones this year, in the last year. Meaning they don't even go on Facebook anymore. For them, it's too big, it's too cumbersome, it's too this, it's too much. So they're looking for other platforms. Snapchat is becoming hugely popular, specifically with university students. We haven't jumped on that yet as South Africa and as Pitch. I'm a little bit nervous about someone being able to delete a picture 30 seconds after they sent it. I'm scared what I'm going to get. That's the truth. There's very, but it is growing in a great way, and it's growing with that age group. So I'm saying, as business owners and as entrepreneurs, I'm saying, I started thinking, like, how are we actually going to be marketing to the next generation? I've got an 11-year-old daughter. She can build a 1-minute video within a day, with, different photos, with voiceovers, with music, with words on the screen. Saying this 11-year-old is able to do that and then post it to 3 or 4 platforms instantaneously. One of them also being WhatsApp, which is becoming very big as well. To be able to do that at 11 years old, how am I going to get her attention at 20? Like, if I want to sell her, I don't know if we'll have cars then, but let's talk about food, because hopefully there'll always be food. How am I going to sell her those apples and oranges we were speaking about earlier? Like, what am I going to do that is going to be able to attract her attention long enough for me to actually want to sell her something? It both excites me and frightens me, but these are the questions we keep asking at the office. We're trying to get ready for it now. Like, where are they going? What are people looking for? What is the most important way of chatting to people? Because essentially that's what we need to be thinking. So, in 10 years' time, Clint, the question won't be should I be on social media or not. It would be like, how many platforms am I on? What are the platforms?
For me, going back to my problem with social media is, I find myself and my peers, we tend to be in a space where being on social media, it's not dissimilar to watching DSTV. I feel in the day, I'm in control of what I'm doing. I go home and I watch DSTV for, let's call it 2 hours. And of that, 1 hour, 20 minutes is just pushing products on me that I'm not interested in. I just want to relax. And I find, I do now and again, I use my wife's Facebook to go on, because I'm just so cautious of not wanting to, I don't want log on details, because I know how easy it is to draw you back. It's like crack cocaine, when you get caught in. But I find that there's so much push on you, and I'm finding it with Instagram. I go on there, and you know what? I follow the people that I want to follow, but this, oh, here's a suggestion for you. What about this person? What about this person? And then you're getting strange requests from people. I mean, I get requests from people. It's all in Russian. And I think there's nothing that we have in common. You can't read my profile. I can't read your profile. What are we doing here? And I find, for me, that it's such a huge waste of time, where I would rather be, and I'm gonna sound like a hippie when I say this, and I know it. I would rather be connecting with somebody on a one-to-one level than saying, hey, I've got 200 friends or 200 followers, because it's a difficult space for me to conceptualize. And it's like playing on a rugby field when all I want to do is play hockey. I've got to go on this rugby field, and I don't know how to play rugby, and I don't want to play rugby, and I don't want to be in a scrum and all of these things. And and you're kind of being forced. You're being told, well, this is the way the world is. Now you've got to go and play rugby. Right.
Well, I mean, I said it slightly differently. I see it more like the marketplace, that, like, we're lucky enough to have this marketplace set up for us. Whether we want to go or not, we really can decide not to. But it's there for the taking, and if we can manipulate it to what we need, I think it can become very, very powerful.
Sure. So I just want to clarify. I'm not. It's not that I'm anti what you're doing or saying. I see the value from a business point of view. I've never done it from that. I've only done it in a personal capacity, and basically that's why I look at it and I go, oh, I don't want to be a part of this. From a commercial point of view, I completely understand it. I mean, you're absolutely spot on. If you don't have a presence there, you may as well not be in business. So I completely get it. It's just a mind shift of how you actually take away, like, the personal chase for followers, chase for friends, or people that you don't know. And I mean, business, that's what it's about, really. So I do get the value of it. It's not, I battle with the everywhere you go, people on their personal profiles doing what?
And the scariest point is like, you see a guy at the shops, and then all of a sudden there's a friend suggestion for that guy. Yeah. And you go, how the devil did this happen? Who's watching me? Where are they? Why are they watching me? And it can become very, very scary. Absolutely. And I mean, with location services, geo settings, I mean, it's becoming very, very transparent. So, like, I actually took a view about a year ago saying I'd actually like to embrace this. I heard a story that, you know, guys, like the people in our lives, like Apple and more close to home, the discoveries of the world, the amount of data that they're collecting on us is incredible. So I'm just saying, for me personally, I've got my medical aids discovery, my insurance, my short-term insurance, my life insurance, my vitality, my gym visits, my credit card, and I will move on to the bank, even though I try to say I won't, but I probably will move on to the bank. Yeah. The amount of information Discovery is catching me from on a daily basis is incredible. You know, they know my heart rate every morning because I tell them. You know, they know my spending habits because I tell them. They know my friends. They know where I go. They know how often I buy coffee at Naked Coffee Shop. Like they know a huge amount from me. So I heard a talk a couple of years ago going, you know, like, how do you feel about that? And I said, you know what, I'm quite okay with it. And I'm actually part of that group. It sounds crazy, but I want them to know even more. So I want them to take the emotion out of it for me. So I want them to be able to, like, say to me, David, we've noticed the last week you've actually been working a lot harder. Your stress levels have gone up. Your heart rate is beating much faster. We believe that you need to take a holiday. We've booked you through Kulula to Bloemfontein because you actually have no money, but you can go to Bloemfontein for a night. You can't hire a car, but there's a bicycle there that you can ride. No, I'm joking, but like that, you know, and it's all booked, and you and your wife are going next week, and thank you very much, and go. You know what I mean? Like, imagine a world where you don't have to have emotion, or you arrive at the shops and Woolers and you take that extra bunch of jelly beans, which you know you shouldn't eat, and your credit card or something pops up going, no, purchase hasn't gone through, and like, why not? They're like, because you do not need jelly beans, David. You know, I mean, I personally would love a world like that. I think that, you know, when that happens is amazing. And you know, if I find on my timeline tomorrow, like Clinton wants to be, you know, a suggestion that Clinton should be a friend, I mean, that's great. You know, we shared a moment together. I'm going to be friendly, make a friend of them. So I've decided to really, really embrace the scary new world of everyone watching me. But I mean, it is a big mind shift to doing it, and it's yeah, I don't think it's for everyone. My wife thinks I'm crazy. My wife said there's absolutely no way you're giving all that information over to a third party, but I really do think that's the world we live in. I think also someone once told me that if you think that you're not transparent like you are, like, you know, people know a lot more about you from simple searches than you're actually willing to give. So we live in this world. We can definitely put up filters and barriers. You know, they say you should always worry what your son's downloading, what your daughter's uploading. So there's definitely filters that you've got to put in on your life, and I do, and we make sure of that, specifically around the kids and around ourselves. But I think it could be, you know, done the right way. I think we're in for a very exciting ride.
Very good points. Thank you.
You made such a good point earlier. One of my big takeaways on the P2P, the person-to-person thing. So I agree with you. I don't think we've got any choice whatsoever. If Clinton wants to control, I think his locus of control is going to get narrower and narrower. I really do think that. And we either join it or we get passed by. I love the case you made earlier in your talk now for the anthropological source of why it's all about people. It's a very, very strong message for me. It's very humanistic, and I think it's one of the ways out of the mess that we're in at the moment. One of the ways out of the mess that the world is in at the moment is it's about people.
Yeah. So my last point, and I don't know how much time we have left, but my last point is essentially the beauty of all these platforms for me, and for our business and for people who want to do it, is it comes down to measurable. How measurable is it? And the beauty of what we're doing here is that we are able to tell you almost to the T what is happening with your spend, with your business. I mean, I think that's for me is one of the most important parts of it, because I can say to you, I can tell you all of these wonderful stories and everything, and at the end of the day, but is it really working? And that's where we get a lot. And so what we do is we put a lot of work into the reporting and the analytics behind what we do. So every single cent that we spend, we can monitor and make sure is being done right. So I say that also gives a lot of confidence to decide to go on a digital journey. I'm talking now very specifically around business, not really a personal thing, but because for me, I mean, we had a client asking us the other day, they wanted to spend something like 300,000 Rand on new billboards. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. What is your return? Like, who's going to see it? When they see it, what are they actually going to do? If the message is strong enough, they'll go on their phones and go onto a website or onto your Facebook page. So you're spending 300,000 Rand on very hit and miss, and you don't know who's seeing it. Like, I'll drive past there, and Jason will drive past there, and for me, I have no interest in it, and for him, he's got 100% interest for it. It's like, he spent the same amount of money on both of our eyes. Like, I'll never understand. Whereas if we had to put 300,000 Rand digitally, we can come back and go, exactly what we've been talking about. Like, we found your market. We found the message is strong with these million people. Like, we can go and now replicate that there on and there on and therefore. So for me, the beauty of this whole industry is the measurability behind everything. And that's actually, that's the power, and that's the importance behind getting people. I mean, I don't know, I'm really not trying to do a sales push here, but like to getting an agency behind it, because essentially what they do is they spend most of their days analyzing data. So we've got guys there, and that's actually where Stevie's very powerful, because he'll look at your thing in 1 minute and he'll be able to say to you, this is what you're doing wrong, this is where we need to do things. And from a business point of view, that's essentially what you want. Like, you want, you got your financial director goes to your accountants to try and get an understanding of what happened with your cash flow this month. Same thing with the marketing, and we do that quite effectively. And I'm really not a numbers guy. I'm more on the, for me, brainstorming session gets me going every time. But when it comes down to the numbers of it, and we realize, oh wow, that post with blue writing and yellow background did better than that post with yellow background and blue writing. Like, why? Oh, because of this and because of that. It's very exciting, and we can actually get it that granular. We can get it, and when we're looking for people, we always say we want to find out what color hair that guy has got. Like, that's how far we want to try and drill down to get in the right market. And thank goodness for the different platforms. It makes our lives a lot easier. I mean, it's not easy; it's a difficult job, but I mean, it makes our lives a hell of a lot easier. And that's my parting message, is that from any which standpoint you're standing, it's coming fast, and it's coming in a big way. It's here already, should I say. It's part of who we are. It's part of our DNA. Find your message. Find the value that cuts through all the noise. Find what's really going to take your business to the next level. Once you found it, use it a lot. Go after it, capitalize on it, make sure that it's happening more and more, and enjoy it. Because Clint, you might get lost in that wormhole, but there's also an enjoyable there. I'll prefer to be on my Instagram. Or let me give you another quick one. The other night, as you might have picked up, I'm a very big Liverpool fan. Liverpool won 4-3 in the semi-finals. It was 11:30 at night. I spent till about 2 in the morning reading everything I possibly could, looking at every single picture I could possibly find. Anything any player said, I was on top of it. I loved it. It was great. It was part of being something, you know. We were reposting photos. I was putting up stuff. I was getting people like, I haven't spoken to, I don't even know these guys support Liverpool. A whole bunch of people saying, yeah, we're going to Madrid, we're excited. Like, I'm saying, like, it was so exciting. It was so lovely to be part of this this world. One of my friends was actually at Anfield posting us photos, posting it. Like, we were living through it through him. It was the most exceptional evening, you know, and like it can be a hell of a lot of fun as well, you know. So from that point of view, I say, do it. If you need help, I'm always around. I can, you know, very happy to have this conversation offline at a coffee shop anytime. You don't have to ask me twice. But I really do believe that that it is the way forward.
Thanks very much, Dave.
Yeah, thank you.
It was a fantastic conversation, and yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Hal. I really enjoyed it too.
You'll be pleased to know that you're now a professor of economics in British Columbia. That's the top David Jacks at the moment on Google. I Googled you while you were talking.
My mom would be so proud, eh?
I just want to close off, but just say thanks very much. Just give you an update on who Ian and I are. Clinton, we do a lot of work with. I mean, Clinton already knows. We're doing a lot of coaching, financial coaching. The idea behind our business is to get you guys to grow businesses, to grow networks, to have these conversations with more and more people. So yeah, please, I know that you probably are now on the mailing list, so please just join us for the talks. They are free. And yeah, it's just a lekker place to network, and the idea is just, if we can all grow businesses together, then the economy will do better and no one will be discussing when should we leave. But
yeah. Nice one.
Thanks so much for joining, and have a lovely evening all. I'm going to post I am going to post the talk up on the website, so it should be there by sometime tomorrow, and have a look at our other recordings. So have a lucky evening all.
Right.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Cheers.
Good night.
Cheers. Bye.